will be taking the keynote address. And this expository keynote address will be taken by the representative in Nigeria and to ECOWAS of the United Nations Nigeria Food and Agriculture Organization in the person of Mr. Fred Kafeero. Please let's welcome Mr. Fred Kafeero. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you so much, moderator, and all the young people on this platform and those who are unable to join us. But I also want to recognize colleagues from the United Nations who are part of this particular event. First and foremost, happy International Youth Day to you all, and thanks to Smile for the invitation that they extended to me to be part of this commemoration together. This is a very important day for the young people, but more importantly, because it coincides with the year when the United Nations Food and Food Systems Summit will be held next month, as we all know. Maybe it's a good thing to start with what food systems are, so that I can be able to amplify as we go along. But for your information, food systems encompass all the elements and activities and stakeholders that relate to and involve into food production, food processing, distribution of food, its preparation and consumption, but more importantly, also the disposal. It also combines the outcomes of all these interactions, including the socioeconomic and, more importantly, environmental outcomes. So in effect, it touches all aspects of human life. Yet the Nigeria food system faces old and emerging challenges. As we all know, climate change is here with us. Malnutrition is a big problem. The prevalence of diet-related non-communicable diseases, and these are very common nowadays: diabetes, heart disease, and a host of them. And certainly a socio-political landscape that is quite difficult, the insecurity in the country, and more recently, the COVID-19 pandemic. So we have lots of challenges. Some are old challenges, others are emerging challenges in this country. And since the beginning of this year, Nigeria has joined the rest of the world in holding in-depth discussions, which we call national dialogues on food systems. Many young men and women, I imagine a number of you also actively participated in these dialogues. Now, these nationwide discussions have confirmed that the current food systems that we have in Nigeria are unsustainable, they're not stable, they're not effectively inclusive, especially if we talk about young people, particularly men, young men and young women. We know that the young people are the largest group of food systems stakeholders, but they are unfortunately bear the brunt of failed food systems. And why is it so? That's the question that we all have to reflect on. Because according to the World Bank, this country has over 75% literacy rates among young people, especially in the age bracket of 15 to 24 years old. So the expectation out there is that you have the ability to access knowledge and technological resources as young people, but also to apply them, whether it's in production of food, whether it's in distribution of food, whether it's in processing of food, whatever stage of the food system, that you are able to apply these digital innovations and to utilize the skills and capacities that you have. But this is not the case, unfortunately. When I interact with young people, wherever I am, and this morning I also had another interaction again with a set of young people, I always hear this issue around lack of employment of young people, limited opportunities to access financing for their brilliant ideas, and hence they cannot make a contribution to changing our society, including, of course, what we are now talking about, transforming the food systems. But when I ask them whether they see the enormous opportunities provided by agri-food systems where agriculture is central, many of them view agriculture in the old school mindset where a farmer carries a hoe, goes out in the sun and toils in the sun, digging the land, and ultimately having a yield that is not commensurate to the effort and energy that they invested in. But this is far from it. This is the 21st century in which we are. We all know that there has been quite a lot of changes in the way things are done, not only in agriculture, but also in other areas because of the revolution that we have with regard to technology. So with an enlightened young generation like you need to see business angles presented through the bigger scope of agriculture. And agriculture, it should not be looked at as only crops, but also livestock, forestry, fisheries, all this is agriculture. Once you understand the scope of agriculture, then you can identify which part of the food system that makes profitable engagement for you. At production level, you can, for example, help supply inputs. If you have some land, you can grow some land in rather some food in a more sustainable way. You can provide seeds where needed, or in fact, you can supply inputs related to fisheries, for example, fingerlings. Or better still, for those who are well equipped and trained, you can also look at the area of artificial insemination when it comes to livestock. This does not require you to carry a hoe, but it's all agriculture. You can also provide advisory services, especially nowadays when we talk about climate change. There are opportunities in providing advisory services around weather patterns or around husbandry practices. So there's quite a lot that can be done at production level of the food system. But also in the supply chain, you can talk about opening a shop or setting up some digital services or online deliveries. If indeed there are challenges to accessing technologies, for example, for production. If you talk about greenhouse technologies are very attractive to young people, but they're probably very expensive for them to get started. And with the challenge of accessing finance, maybe it may be very challenging to get started. But if possible, these are very, very good ways through which you can produce smartly. Now, in the field of forestry, quite a lot of young people are also involved in setting up tree nurseries, for example, and they can specialize in nurseries that produce medicinal plants or other niche plants, which actually are profitable. You can also grow your own trees, why not? In fact, the earlier you do this, the better, because by the time you are in your 50s like us, your trees have grown up and they just provide you with the money. So it's a good investment. It doesn't require a lot of land. You can think about an orchard, or you can think about a woodlot from which you can generate firewood for sale. And I tell you, these are opportunities where it comes to production. But when it comes to processing, there are also simple processing technologies or equipment that can add value or shelf life to products at cottage level in your own home, which can help ordinarily, products that would ordinarily get lost or wasted, really to be packaged and marketed, including the use of e-commerce to market them. So you only go to the farm to collect those products. You don't go there to dig or to produce, but you can actually collect them from those that have already produced them, and you add value to them and make money. You can also decide to distribute products. Again, this is also part of the food system, the distribution part of things. You distribute products produced by others, and you can do this in different ways. You can add more skills through training and become a nutrition educator, for example. As the economy grows, more and more people consume unhealthy food, leading to all challenges that we talked about earlier, including obesity. They need your advice, and advice on healthy diets can be expensive, actually. And people are willing to pay for it because they need this advice. Why don't you add more skills through training so you can become a nutrition educator? This is part of the food system and the opportunities that it provides. If you talk about disposal as part of the food system as well, the reuse of items that we would ordinarily throw away, the sorting of waste, plastic and organics, the conversion of materials into compost manure and for use, for fertilizing soil. These are all opportunities that are there for income. All these business opportunities are around agriculture and food systems. So the most important thing for us to get the inspiration that we need, get entrepreneurial skills in addition to the ICT. Opportunities come, of course, if they organized. I always say this, get organized as young people. You can work as a collective in groups of common-minded people or associations, and you can lobby for finance from government and donors to acquire capital. I understand as part of this particular webinar, you will have a session which will be talking about opportunities for finance. These are there. They are really there, but they are there for organized entities. And as organized entities, you can also get training opportunities and you can negotiate markets. In all this, we need to take into consideration the sustainability of all that we do, so that the generations that will follow us may find the soils that are still productive, the rivers, the lakes and seas that are bountiful in fish, in forests, the forests that are well conserved, the arid lands that have vegetation and trees to protect them from the effects of climate change. So in other words, we have to have consideration for a healthy planet. You can play your role in advancing food systems in Nigeria by improving the sustainability, the profitability, and the socioeconomic importance that food systems play in our lives. So in summary, as young people, you need to embrace agriculture as a business and mindful to act responsibly as custodians of the natural endowment which we have inherited. Let us avail ourselves to support the much needed transformation. I'm sure that many of you have that passion to really transform, but there are challenges that you incur, and we are mindful about these challenges. And it's also our duty to continue lobbying and advocating for the young people to actually take lead in ensuring that we have a planet that is worthy its name. The UN system in Nigeria, where FAO is part of, is committed to continuous mentoring and support for young people, adopting need-specific solutions. On our part as FAO, we support livelihoods. We apply digital innovation in agriculture, and we promote climate smart and nutrition sensitive agricultural approaches. We also strengthen capacities not only of old people, but also of young people and of children in schools, so that they can be nurtured and they can enjoy from a young age, growing smart but also healthy foods. Now, all our activities, as I said, are youth focused, and we shall continue that commitment to achieve sustainable food systems for all. And with that, I want to salute all of you and to thank you for the efforts that you are all engaged in. We know the challenges you go through, but we need to work together to ensure that we can be able to transform our food systems. And I want to thank you very much for listening.